What's up, guys? Nick from Truth Blitz News, and I want to talk about the Austin, Texas bombings that have been happening now for a couple weeks. They have been widely underreported when it comes to mainstream media, aside from Fox News, who's been covering it almost the whole time. Just recently, probably within the last day or so, we have finally seen sporadic mainstream coverage from other media outlets. And I'm going to get into why I believe that is the case in a minute here. But first, let's listen to this briefing, press conference from President Trump in regards to these bombings, and let's take a listen to what he has to say.
Any comments on the bombings in Austin?
It's terrible. The bombings in Austin are terrible. Local, state, and federal are working hand in hand to get to the bottom of it. This is obviously a very, very sick individual, or maybe individuals. These are sick people, and we will get to the bottom of it. We will be very strong. We have all sorts of federal agencies over there right now. We're searching. What's going on in Austin, a great place, a tremendous place, is absolutely disgraceful. So we have a lot of power over there. We're looking. It's not easy to find, but these are sick people, and we have to find them as soon as possible. We have to find them really immediately. I will say, working with Texas, working with the local governments has been great, but we have to produce, we have to find this very sick person or people. Thank you all very much.
Okay, so sick people. Now, that video was from NBC News, but that was from today. Now that the president is talking about this, the mainstream media, it's going to be a lot harder for them to ignore this. And I'm honestly very surprised they did not jump all over this from the get-go, being that the first two victims were young black men. Actually, they had family connections as well. Also, the third victim, I believe, was a Hispanic woman. So I'm really surprised that the mainstream media did not jump on this and spin it as, without any evidence, stating or pointing to this solidly. I'm really surprised they did not jump on this and call it a hate crime, call it an act of racism, because we all know that the mainstream media loves to race bait. They do this all the time. This is what they do. Divide and conquer. Let's pin races against each other. Let's pin political persuasions against each other. Genders, whatever the case is, that is what they do. So, really, I am very surprised that didn't happen. I'm really surprised that, and we don't know what's going to happen yet. They are still looking for a motive. So we really don't have too much yet. And let's take a look at this website here. We have the map. As of today, we have 4 bombings in Austin. The last of which, number 4, was in a suburban neighborhood, and it was detonated via tripwire. Okay, and I believe the people injured during this were white victims. Okay, so that really kind of blows probably any theory out of the water that anybody had that this is racially motivated. I know that, or I would assume that the mainstream media is foaming at the mouth, waiting for some kind of evidence so they can say this is right-wing extremism. This is, racial ties, maybe white nationalists, who knows? But as I said, the latest victims were white. Now, we had the other bomb that was detonated in a FedEx facility in San Antonio today. And I believe from what I hear, there were actually two bombs. One wasn't detonated, one was. It went off. And that was a package that was going to be shipped to Austin. So I don't know who the recipient of that package would have been. I don't think those details were released. However, that would have been the fifth bombing in Austin. But like I said, that latest one here in San Antonio at the FedEx facility did not make it to Austin. Now, why has this been so underreported? Right? Like I said, Fox News has really been reporting on this from the beginning. I've seen a few different videos from a few different anchors at Fox talking about these bombings. But up until the last day or so, I really didn't see much, if any, other mainstream media coverage. For example, CNN, NBC, ABC, any of them. So why is that? And I'm going to tell you why. Gun control, right? So the media loves to push this narrative that if we get the guns off the street, the mainstream media, by the way, if we ban assault weapons, if we ban guns, period, if we get rid of high capacity magazines, we will stop mass shootings, right? Makes sense. No, it doesn't really make sense, and let's talk about that. So that is the narrative they're pushing, okay? And I pointed this out in my last video. Somebody who is hell-bent on injuring or killing somebody does not need a gun, okay? And this is a prime example. Now, granted, when we compare this to mass shootings, obviously there has been a lot less people killed in these bombings when you compare them to some of these mass shooting events. And by the way, there was another shooting at a school today, and it was thwarted by a school resource officer after the young man, and you didn't hear it was talked about on the mainstream media, but it wasn't widely reported. Again, now why is that? Well, first of all, it was stopped by a school resource officer. It was not an AR-15, it was a handgun. Okay, we don't hear as much about the handgun crimes, but they love to talk about that AR-15, don't they? So this young man was taken out by this officer. 2 students were shot. As of right now, they are both still alive. One is in critical condition. And we have a hero resource officer who ran toward the incident instead of running away from it or standing down, as we saw in Florida. But to get back on topic, and this kind of all ties in with that, why aren't the mainstream media outlets screaming about these bombings from the rooftops? Because it throws a wrench in their narrative. And their narrative is that if we get rid of the so-called assault weapons, if we get guns out of the hands of those of us who believe in our Second Amendment, or as the left likes to call us, bitter clingers, if we get the guns out of our hands and make them not available anymore, that killing will just cease to happen and we can all live in harmony in this utopic society. Not gonna happen. And this is a prime example right here. Somebody who is hell-bent on killing people does not need a firearm. And from what I hear, these bombs that are being detonated are very primitive. I do not know what type of bombs they are. From what I hear, they are pressure bombs, but I don't know what the makeup is of them. But from what I am hearing from the reports, they basically go off when there is pressure or when there is movement. So I would assume it's a pretty volatile bomb, or a pretty volatile detonation device. So this kind of really just blows that whole utopian theory of less guns, less killing out of the water. Okay? Because from what we are seeing right here, uncovering and unraveling in front of our eyes, anybody who is hell-bent on killing people can make a bomb. And I talked about this in my last video. Anyone with the internet and access to Home Depot and half a brain can learn how to and acquire the ingredients to manufacture a bomb. And it's that simple. I talked about Columbine. Okay? What happened in Columbine? During, by the way, right in the middle of the Clinton assault weapons ban. Not only did those two boys have firearms, one of which was a Tech 9, which was a banned assault weapon, they also had multiple explosive devices, propane bombs, and other explosive devices planted throughout the school, which thank God did not detonate. But if these bombs that are detonating in Texas were bigger and put in a public area other than, a small suburban center, if they were put maybe in a mall or in a crowded area, one bomb could take out as many people as a school shooter or any mass shooter. So these incidents that we're seeing here in Texas are really kind of not doing their narrative any favors. They are really kind of contradicting their narrative that if we get rid of the guns, then we can all live happily ever after and there will be no more killings. And we all know that is not the case, right? Anytime you ban something and make it illegal, it just opens up a bigger black market. Now, there's already a black market for firearms because we have criminals and people who cannot legally buy one, but they want to get one because they want to commit crimes with them. That already happens, okay? Drugs are illegal, and you don't see a heroin addict stop using heroin because it's illegal. So this is my point. This is why I believe this has not been widely reported on. However, you are going to see, and already are seeing, but you're going to see more mainstream media coverage of this now that the president is making statements on it. Now that that has happened, it cannot be ignored anymore. And we are going to see some more coverage. So, but anyway, guys, that is pretty much what I think is going on. It's pretty obvious. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully they catch this psychopath or these psychopaths before anyone else is killed or injured. From what I understand, there are many federal agencies that are really looking for who is doing this, and they are offering a pretty big reward now. But of course, with that is going to come all kinds of false reports. I'm sure they're flowing in right now as we speak. I don't like the way my next door neighbor looks. He's got a creepy look on his face. I think it might be him. It was the white guy down the street because he's got a Gadsden flag hanging in his front yard. Those kind of things. So, it was the Muslim man down the street, that came here 20 years ago and owns a gas station. You're going to hear a lot of false reporting once money is involved, for sure. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about this. Do you guys agree on my theory of why this has been so underreported? And I will talk to you guys soon.